Getting away for the holidays is the break that we are all looking forward to. But when we have a highly sensitive child, this can feel daunting, overwhelming, and even make you feel like you don't want to travel because of how hard it is going to be getting them from the car to the airport onto the plane. But we can't just avoid hard things because then you miss out on the fun stuff. So in this video, I'm going to give you my top tips on how to make traveling with your highly sensitive child much easier for you and your child. I'm Lisa, a child behavior expert and a parent coach. I have over a decade of experience as a pediatric occupational therapist. On my channel, you will find practical tips and tools that are going to support your child and their needs. Whether it's related to sensory processing, executive functioning, emotional regulation, or much more than that, I'm here to guide you on those challenges and to help you through so that your child can thrive. So what is it about traveling that just sends your highly sensitive child into a whirlwind tantrum? For one, it can be the long lines. When we get to the airport or when we're traveling, there's always going to be lineups. And when there's lineups, that means your child has to learn how to be patient. And for some of our kids who are highly sensitive, it can be hard for them to wait for their turn, to wait for delayed gratification. And so when they have to wait for something and they are stagnantly just standing there, they're getting bored, this can get them into places where they get so upset over things that are minor, and then they have a big public meltdown in front of everyone at the airport. The other thing that can really shift our kids who are sensitive into states of dysregulation is a shift in their routine. So they might be so used to what every day looks like to them. Their morning routine, getting to school, coming home, doing their homework, meal times, bedtimes, and that's it. But when it comes to traveling, all of this gets flipped upside down. Maybe you have a flight that's a red eye, and so you need to get to the airport in the evening to make it for your red eye. This can totally shift their whole sleep schedule, which can get them into a really overtired state, getting them into places of dysregulation and big meltdowns. At the airports, there's a lot of sensory input that they're getting from their environment that they're not used to. The loud sounds from the crowds, there's going to be lots of people talking, yelling, maybe other kids screaming and crying. There's going to be things going off on the intercom, like announcements that might trigger your child. And so there are so many aspects when it comes to sensory that can trigger your child and make them feel uncomfortable, also in such a big and unknown environment to them. Being on the plane can also be a challenge in and of itself. Sitting for hours at a time, where your child cannot just run around, climb on things, they need to sit for the entire duration of that flight, can be really tricky for our sensitive kids. And so when we have all of these factors and all of these situations when we need to travel that can lead our kids into big meltdowns and tantrums, it can feel very overwhelming for us as parents because we're constantly thinking about, well, what's the thing that's going to trigger my child? Because I don't want to have a big public meltdown because I know they're embarrassing, they're hard to manage, and it ends up ruining your whole trip, right? When you have your child who just gets so upset and they melt down in front of you and you're trying to just get them out of this state, you're trying to get them to cooperate, but they're not, then it starts your whole trip on a bad foot. So we want to make sure that we create as many positive experiences and reduce any kind of sensory overwhelm for your child so that you can all enjoy this together. I know you guys are ready for the solutions, but before we get there, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss episodes like this. So, to not make your whole travel experience dreadful, the way around this is to be proactive, to implement strategies ahead of time before you get to the airport so that your child is mentally and physically prepared. So the first thing you want to do is mentally prepare your child on what to expect while they're traveling. If you know that you're going to be taking a taxi and not your regular car, and they're going to be waiting at the airport for a good 2 to 3 hours before getting on the airplane, let them know what this process is going to look like. The more you can prepare your child, the more that they can process this information and actually be okay in the moment. If your child is really young or they're nonverbal, using something like a social story where you have very short sentences or single words to describe what is happening along with a visual image. So showing them that we're going to be taking a yellow taxi and we are going to be in there and use a visual timer to show you how long we're going to be in that taxi for. Then we're going to be in an airport and it's going to be really big. There's going to be lots of people. You have pictures to depict all of this stuff so that your young child or your nonverbal child can understand what it is to expect. You might be wondering, what is a social story and how do I get my hands on one of these? So it's simple. It's something that you can create yourself. All you need to do is find pictures of what it is you're trying to show your child. So if you want to show your child that you're going to be going into a taxi, find a picture on Google of your local taxi and print that out and put that on a sheet, and you're going to write the first part of the story. You will be going into this yellow taxi. Then you're going to find the next picture, whether it's the picture of your local airport, inside what that looks like when there's lots of people in there, print that out, and you're just setting a sequence of events in picture form with some words depending on your child's communication level. Now that you've mentally prepared your child, next you want to prepare them from a sensory perspective. By coming ready with some sensory tools and strategies, this is going to help them not get into states of dysregulation and overwhelm from all of the sensory input that they're about to experience. So, going into an airport, there can be lots of loud sounds. So preparing your child on using noise-canceling headphones can help mitigate big tantrums. But you want to prepare your child on how to use this. You would sit down with your child and actually show them what the noise-canceling headphones look like. You're going to use this inside your home and teach them how to use the noise-canceling headphones ahead of time, rather than doing it on the spot while you're at the airport when they're already in a state of overwhelm. So all you're going to do is sit down with them, show them the headphone, and say to them, when we're in the airport, there might be lots of loud sounds. You might hear people talking a lot. You might hear other kids yelling and screaming because they're really excited that they get to travel, but these sounds might feel a bit irritating or annoying to you. So if you feel that you're starting to get irritated, you can use this headphone. You're going to put it right over your ears. You're going to demonstrate it to them first, and you're going to explain, when it's over my ears, everything gets muffled. Things do not sound as loud. Do you want to try it? Let your child experience it. Let them handle it first, because for some kids, they might be a bit resistant. They might see the headphone and go, I don't want to wear that. That looks uncomfortable. Or they might just not even have an explanation and they just flat out might say no. So say, hey, that's perfectly fine. Why don't you just hold it, take a look at it, look at all the different features of the headphone, and when you're done with it, put it on the table. So as you can see, this process can take some time. So you want to be proactive and introduce it way ahead of time before your trip, because it might take a few days before your child is actually ready to put it on and try it out. So if that's what's happening on the first day, then the second day, you're going to reiterate again and let them know we're going to go on a trip, and at the airport, there might be some loud sounds. So we're going to try to wear this to muffle it out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play some Christmas music or some of these songs that I know you don't like, and you can put on these headphones. You can tell me if you can hear it. That might be incentive enough to get your child to try it out. It's a fun little game, and you already know that they don't like that song, so they're even more incentivized to put it on. That way they've tried it. Now they know what to do with it. Now you're going to pack it into your sensory toolkit, just a little bag that you're going to bring to the airport. That way you have it prepared for when they need it. The second sensory tool you can use is blue light blocking glasses. So what I found when you travel in airports, there's always lots of fluorescent lights. And these lights can be very overwhelming on the visual system. It's just super white, super bright, And if you're going at night and you have all these lights on you, it can be really irritating and make you feel kind of sick. So if you have a sensitive child, they're likely going to experience that. So bringing blue light blocking glasses can be a really great tool to help dim all those lights, not make them feel overwhelmed from a visual perspective. The third sensory tool is utilizing essential oils to help calm your child down. So I remember the last time I was on a plane, and you know that smell. There's always a smell when you get on the airplane. And it can feel nauseating sometimes, or it can just be an irritating smell. So for sensitive kids, you might already know that they are really sensitive to any kind of smell, that having something prepared that they can sniff, easy access, can be a really great tool. Putting something calming in a jar like lavender, and I know on the airport you can't bring like big jars of liquid, so we're only looking at very tiny amount of essential oils that can help to give them a different scent when something just smells really uncomfortable for them. So things like lavender or citrus or cinnamon, these are all really good essential oil smells that can help calm your child down and make them feel good when they might be feeling overstimulated and overwhelmed. The fourth sensory tool are fidgets. Different things that your child can play with their hands to help them pass the time, give them that sensory input that they're seeking for. Things like poppets or flexi tubes. These types of activities, and I'm going to give you a nice list down below in the description box of different tools that you could get to put in your sensory bag that you're going to bring to the airport. This way you just have different options of things to give to your child to help them manage if they're feeling anxious. Because I know I've heard from many parents who were traveling, they're worried about their kids feeling anxious, especially when the plane takes off, and what to do about that. Giving your child those fidgets to play with can help take their minds off of the plane actually moving and getting off the ground, and they can put all of that focus into the fidget tool to help them manage and get through that takeoff process. And finally, the fifth tool that I have that you can put into your sensory toolkit is an animal or weighted lap pad. So these are small little stuffed toys that have some weight in it. It's likely like a bean bag that they put inside to add some weight. And this is a very nice calming tool that you can put on your child's legs. This is going to help kids who really have this need to move around, like they always want to run. You're worried that they're not going to be able to sit still on the plane when you've got like a 5-6 hour flight. Bringing a lap pad, a weighted lap pad, can be a great tool to help calm their nervous systems down, help them feel grounded, and help them stay seated during the airplane ride. All right, and my final tip on what you can do to help make traveling much more easier for your sensitive child is get to the airport early. So I know that typically we all get to the airport, a couple hours early, depending on your flight, if it's international or domestic. But I would emphasize to try to get even there a little bit earlier for some of our kids, especially when they don't deal well when there's a bit of rushing and there's lots of crowds. Because the earlier you can get to the front of the line before the rest of the people come. And you can also take your time with things. If your child needs a little bit more bathroom breaks, or they want to just, when they get to the airport, just sit down and not go through check-in right away. By allowing yourself to get there with more time, you don't have to feel this need to pull your child through the airport process quickly just so that you can get to your gate. This is going to reduce your own stress and ultimately reduce your child's stress. Because remember, our kids all have mirror neurons and they're all going to see how we are responding in situations. So if we ourselves feel stressed when we travel, when we're trying to get through security and trying to get to our gate, your kids will pick that up. Especially if you have a sensitive kid, they are so intuitive. They can sense your emotions and then they perceive it as their own much more easily than a child who's not sensitive. So just remember that you want to make your own experience as less stressful as possible. So getting there early can really help with that. So those were all my tips on helping your sensitive child manage traveling to make your life easier. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell. See you guys on the next one.